to my party. We're just getting
All right,
started.
welcome to Story Demon. I am your host, David C. Hoke, but she'll call me Chris because everybody in the real world calls me Chris. And Story Demon is about writing and authors and pop culture and movies and books and all the things. And Celeste has been a co-host, but today she is a guest, and there's a special reason why she is a guest. It's because she has a new book out, and it is called, what is it called?
Don't Mess with Anna, A Reckoning in Blood and Ink.
A Reckoning in Blood and Ink. Mm-hmm. And what we wanted to do today was, oh, there it is. It's already won an award. It's only been out just a little bit, but it's already won an award.
There you go.
It's probably going to win more awards. And I have the unique position of knowing some of the background behind the scenes of this book, but that's her story to tell. I'm just here to help her tell it. So, a little bit of background on you, how you got here. You started when?
I started writing back in, well, I've always written since I was little, but actually officially trying to write to become a traditionally published or an indie published author back in 2011, I believe, is when well, first, let me go back just a hair. Remember when Shades of Grey came out? E.L. James, Shades of Grey was a big, huge monster thing. Well, anyway, everybody said, you got to read this, you got to read it. So I was reading it. I was kind of like, I could write better than this. So I started, instead of just jumping in and starting to write, I did 2 years worth of research on erotic romances to see what's been overdone, what should not be done to readers, things to avoid. How many words are in a chapter? What's the standard on that as well? So I did all this study. I read over 600 romance books.
Like literally, you read literally 600.
600 of them.
That's crazy.
Yes, I could show you the boxes. But I was just so hardcore. Like when I get ready to do something, I go in all the way. So anyway, I did that. So I did my research. And then I had a dream about my characters. And I was like, okay, it's time to start writing. And the first books I started writing is romance, erotic romance. And because I found out, I said it's easier to probably get into the romance to be published that way versus trying to hit mystery thrillers, all of that. So I tried it with the romance because E.L. James was romance too. And it freaked me out. The first book I wrote was Drusus in the Fueled by Lust series. There's sci-fi and contemporary because they come to the planet, etc. But it's called Fueled by Lust. And I wrote it and I submitted it to the first place I submitted it to was Siren Publishing. And within about a month, I heard back, almost fell over. They picked me up and they were going to publish me. So that freaked me out. And I heard of like only 1 out of 18,000 at the time in 2010 make it get picked up by a traditional publisher. So that really freaked me out. So anyway, long story short, I end up now, I'm on book number 16. I'm working on that one right now called Furio, Fueled by Lust Furio. So I got 16 in that particular genre.
And then when I met you, you were doing romance, and then you had done a memoir of what was the memoir again?
It's called I'm In Here Somewhere. Memoir of a food addict. I met Chad Dean through my brother, and he wanted to talk about, how he got to the point where he needed to lose weight. Chad Dean was one of the stars on that reality show, My 600-Pound Life.
Okay.
And he happened to be in Texas. He was living in Texas at the time because that's how he had to come down to Texas to meet that doctor that did the surgeries.
Yeah.
So I met him, and within two and a half weeks, I interviewed him twice over a 2-week period, and I wrote up a draft of the book, brought it back, and they loved it, and I got that produced, and I promoted real hard on that, and had it got its debut on the Today Show. Almost fell over when we got invited. It was Chad. Chad was the draw of everything, wasn't he? And they were excited about that, so they brought him on, and the book made its debut on there, and all kinds of different places too, like the Joe Pag show.
Okay.
all those entertainment weekly stuff, all that stuff. I had a lot of different places. My website has it where all the different places that got promoted at. So that was a really big thing for me.
And then
into nonfiction.
And then the next one on the way to Anna was a crime, supernatural, hard to describe book.
Yeah, it's called Visiting Darkness.
Yeah.
It's a mystery thriller / paranormal crime thing. He's a detective is the main character in that.
Max.
Yeah, Max. I love Max. If I could just keep writing Max, I'd probably be good. But I keep wanting to do other things that spur me on.
Yeah. Max deserves a series, I think.
Yeah, and Max was also my first one that I adapted into a screenplay.
Yeah,
and entered him into a contest, a bunch of them, and won the Blue Cat, which is their big contest in Hollywood. Blue Cat screenplay contest, and I actually made it through the quarterfinals and also made it into semifinals.
Yeah,
which made me fall over because then I found out later there was I was going up against industry experts. That's all they did was write screenplays.
Yeah,
there was in the category I got in, there was 2,900 something entries, and so I was up in the top 3% in the semifinals. So just making it that far was just a miracle. So that was exciting for me.
Yeah, when we first were really working together, I knew you. I think already when you were writing it, I guess. But when we first started working together, that was like the main one you were focusing on. I remember I beta read it, and it was unusual in a good way. And I don't want to spoil that book and read there. I'll just say that you should read it if you haven't, and once you read it, that you'll want to see the Max series, and you actually have a screenplay for a sequel, but you haven't made it into a book yet.
Right. I was so excited about the screenplay for this going so far as it did that I didn't even write the second book. I wrote the screenplay first, so that one's in about 7 contests right now.
Yeah.
So if it does anything, once it's done, I'm going to do that second book. So that's some really good stuff in there.
So in order to tell the story of Anna, I guess I need to tell a little bit of the story of Marav. This isn't the Marav show. This is the Anna show, but I probably need to...
They're tied together, so bring it on.
They're spiritual cousins in a sense. So I wrote Marav, which is action sci-fi, and I won't go too into the woods with it because this is about Anna today. But Marav was a action sci-fi, heavy on action. It's basically, in my mind, it was a movie that I would never be able to have the budget to make, so I just turned it into a book. And when we get that was the first book I wrote, and the first draft was god awful, and it was not a novel. It was just a story written down, and you mentored me into getting it and to learning the craft of being an author, book writer. And we turned
2-year period.
yeah. It took us like three hard drafts for sure, and a bunch of little cleanup drafts. Anyway, so we got it all released and we got it out there, and I started marketing it on X, Twitter. The trolls come out.
Oh boy.
And a little background on why that was. I'll make this long story very short. So the cover is a blend of AI and graphic design. And no one said anything about the use of AI whatsoever on any social media platform until I got to X. And they don't know the whole story behind that cover and how I tried to get graphic designers to make me a cover for half the production time. I was way early into it trying to get a cover made, and I won't go into the all boring details of it, but I just could not get a graphic designer to make the damn thing. I tried. And finally I was like, F it, we used a blend of AI, and then I had a graphic designer that finally would help me, and he got it all cleaned up and did some work to it, and we got it out there. So when I started marketing on X, the trolls come out hard and heavy, particularly on the AI cover. And in my nature, I argued with them. And a buddy of mine that lives in LA, the LA actor and musician, and he was like, "Hey man, I see what you're doing. Don't." And
they love that.
I wanted to argue. I wanted to keep going, but I put myself in the back seat and I just listened to him, and then I stopped arguing, and I even deleted a whole bunch of old tweets where I'd argue with them stuff. But
yeah, they were doing things that made it sound like you killed their firstborn child.
Oh yeah, they made a mountain out of a molehill. Yeah, and if they knew the story, and there's parts of the graphic design story I can't even tell because I don't want to throw anybody under the bus.
Right. All you did was lay a base for your real human graphic designer to work with. That's all you did.
That's all I did. That's all I did.
But nobody want to listen to that.
No, they just.
You're supposed to hire the graphic artist like I would if I could.
I tried. I literally tried. It's and again, I'm actually trying to protect some people by not telling the whole real story because I could really throw some people under the bus, but I'm just not going to do that. So anyway, the trolls come out. And then one day, I first started, I had 5-star, 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 4-star, 5-star, 5-star, 5-star. And as soon as that troll war hit, I got hit with a 1-star. And I knew damn well they hadn't read it. And I knew damn well, I'm pretty sure I know who it was from, because it happened in the heat of a Twitter argument. And I sent it to you. I can't remember the exact conversation, but I was like, what the hell? I got a 1-star. This is a guy that didn't read it. How do they even allow this?
That was the catalyst because the exact same thing happened to me when I first started writing. And it's so devastating as a new author. And here's the story. I don't know if anybody's heard of Goodreads. That's a reading site where you just post your books out there and people who are hardcore readers go out there and pick whatever book and they'll go buy it and leave little reviews for you if they want to. One day, I looked out there on my first book, Drusus, and I saw a 1-star on there, no review. It was just this little 1-star sitting there. It's like somebody stabbed me in the heart. It's like, oh my God, am I that bad? But I was getting 5 stars, 5 stars, 4 stars, 5 stars. Same thing that happened to you. And so, and all you can do is just go, well, shrug and just move on. But, I forgot this most important part. I checked. I wasn't going to argue with the person because I'd learned already that from other authors, don't argue with the people. That's their right to do whatever they're going to do.
That's hard for me to do, man. It's so hard for me to do.
It's hard for me to do. Being a former Marine, very hard for me to do. Not to hunt them down and type them from the top of a building somewhere. But anyway, I clicked on the readers icon to see, because you can go to the readers pages too, and boom, right in front of me, this same person who was anonymous, by the way, had given like over 100 books a 1-star, and they were all the same day within minutes of each other. I said, oh, somebody's being just a dick today.
Yeah.
So all I could say is like, oh my God, you're mad at the world or something. And I just got thrown into the middle of that, and I was kind of thought it was funny that a lot of the authors that they gave 1-star to were high-ranking authors, even E.L. James, who's the one that said I could write better than that. But Black Dagger Brotherhood was my big time. I loved that series. Got a 1-star, so I said, okay, at least I'm amongst those high-ranking authors. I feel good about that. I'll take a win off of that one that I got targeted.
Right.
So anyway, that's what was a catalyst, because with you getting hit with it is seeing how it affected you. And it's like this spark just clicked in my head, and Milton was born that day.
Right.
Don't Mess with Anna. And the reason why the book name is Don't Mess with Anna, I think I've spelled it differently from your character, right? Yours is A-N-A?
Yeah, you 2 N's, right, on yours?
2 N's, A-N-A, and you completely go that crazy.
So just for my clarity, I don't know if we ever talked about it directly, but so you named Anna after Stasha Marov?
Yes.
Oh, you did? Okay. All right.
Because of Anna getting popped, because I had so much love for Marov, Anna Marov, Anastasia Marov.
Yeah.
I had so much love for her because I grew to know her, and I've watched her grow through that book that you're building, and it hit me hard too when you got popped with that 1-star. It's like, man, that is not fair. It's like nothing you can do about it. Just a troll being an asshole that day.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden the name of the book came to me, which is Don't Mess with Anna. And then later on came A Reckoning in Blood and Ink, because it's dealing with writing and retribution.
Yeah.
So that's what sparked the book. And it's like I set everything aside. My romance book, I was writing the big mill of writing, set aside all of that, and just dove into Don't Mess with Anna.
So a little bit about I don't want to spoil anything, so you give me your plot synopsis of Don't Mess with Anna so I don't spoil it.
Okay. It's basically, you get to watch, what happened to me, Anna sees this thing, but hers is worse. She's got this troll just constantly harassing her on there. I mean, he has like targeted her. That hasn't happened to us. Just that one sparked our like,
Yeah.
But she got targeted big time by this online troll who thinks he's a medieval enthusiast and she's a medieval historical romance writer.
Yeah.
And so that starts it out. I mean, you can see that if you click on Amazon and do the free read sample.
Yeah.
My dog, I swear. Anyway, he's like, let me show off down here. I hear you.
He wants to be on the podcast.
Yeah, come on up here, a little Frenchie. Anyway, so if you click on it, you see the first chapter of it. Anna's just like, oh my God, he's did it to me again. She put out a second book, and here he starts again. They're going to harass her, and he's got a whole horde, a big group of online trolls, keyboard warriors, I call them. They're behind the scenes, they're safe. And this is also it doesn't happen just to authors. I mean, people get trolled anywhere. Anyway, so just overall, the aspect of getting trolled by somebody anonymous behind a screen that you have no control of, if you fight back, they just fight back with you. They're like sadists, So
yeah,
I wanted to use the world of literature to have a way to come back at that person, revenge. This is strictly a reckoning book. It's like this guy has got to get his comeuppance,
right?
And so Milton Smith is going to go through some hell because of what he's done. And I want to leave the surprise of what is happening with him, because he's taken to her world. Basically, her world that she has crafted in her brain is really real.
Yeah.
He doesn't know that. He thinks he's been kidnapped by these people. So it's funny. It's what some of the reviewers have been called visceral, cathartic. It's like watching somebody get something. It made me feel good to see what happened with Milton. I could put Milton's face over that one-star person who did the same thing to me.
Yeah.
But anyway, and the same person that did that to you is like, don't mess with Anna, because you have no idea what karma's going to get your butt.
So from a book perspective or story perspective, what I thought was unique about it, beyond what we just talked about, is the main character of the book is the antagonist.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to spend, I hope I'm not giving anything away, the majority of your time is spent with the bad guy. He's who you're following. He has the quote unquote hero's journey in the book, but it's the bad guy having I don't know what you call a hero's journey for a bad guy. I guess a bad guy's journey.
Yeah.
So
I purposely did that because the majority of books, you follow the protagonist, the good guy. Well, the whole point of this book was this guy isn't a trolling asshole idiot. And I want everybody to hear, for us to try to figure out what was in their mind. Why are they doing that? Why would they trash somebody that bad and cause their career to end or anything? It's like, you can give it from the protagonist's point of view 100 times, but you never have the understanding of this troll behind the screen that's driving you crazy.
Yeah.
So Milton got his day, and boy, did I give him a day and a month worth of hell. So yeah, it's from and I'm getting feedback from other reviewers of professional sites like Kirkus and all them, and they're definitely calling it wholly original, inventive, because you have not seen this before. I've not seen this out there anywhere before. And you said the same thing when you gave me your review as well, that it's completely can't compare it to something else.
Well, it's like a Swiss Army knife of a story. It's got revenge, it's got fantasy, it's got a story within a story, and that's all I'll say because I don't want to give that part away. We'll just say there's a story within the story. So it's almost like, what was that movie where DiCaprio goes into dream worlds and they go, what was that movie called where he keeps going to the layers of
Inception or something?
Inception. So it's like, remember, like he would go in the dreams and he'd be in a dream, and then they start going like in a dream into a dream. So it's a lot like that, where you've got like your multiple layers in of this
Yeah.
fantasy.
And the way I did it, it's not a confusing thing. It's not.
No. It's coherent.
It's coherent. You'll know what you're doing what's happening when you.
I think you even changed the typeface or something.
I changed the typeface too. As soon as you hit where we're dealing with this different story, you'll know immediately because of the typeface in it as well.
Yeah. Which I thought that was smart. That was like really smart to like. It's kind of like you watch a movie. I put things in movie terms a lot, I know, but it's like you watch a movie when they go to the dream world. Now it's a different color. It's a different look,
like New War or something.
Yeah, it's like it's sepia or it's whatever. It looks different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, it was like The Matrix meets fantasy meets.
Yeah, wasn't neat.
Yeah,
Count of Monte Cristo style kind of.
Yeah. Now, one thing about so it's obvious that we're putting Milton through the paces. I'm not giving anything away with that because that's the whole point. We keep using revenge, and Milton's the bad guy. So, I'll
say one thing that'll help from where we're going from this point, which is if anybody's ever read about or looked up about chaos theory. About the butterfly that flaps its wing in Hong Kong, and you have a hurricane over here.
Yeah.
Even that way, Milton's actions was like the chaos theory. It caused more shit than he even imagined about what he did. So, that point. So we can just say chaos theory, and you'll understand.
Well, one thing as an author, as a storyteller myself, reading it, you displayed an incredible amount of patience or something I felt, because I can't tell you how many times I wanted somebody to just hack off Milton's head and get it over with.
I know.
Because I hated him so damn much.
I know.
And I didn't hate him because of my own personal feelings of the backstory. I hated him because of what was on the page.
Right.
And so how did you have the... I mean, I guess the first question, did you ever feel like, say, fuck this, and I'm just hacking his head off?
Yeah.
Did you ever have to fight that urge?
Sometimes I had to fight the urge to just really having his bowels fall out of his body, but I just couldn't go there because I had a reason. There was a reason to bring it to its conclusion, and I could not disembowel him, just put it that way. Wanted to, big time, but you'll understand when you go through it. And that's another thing I got from I'm so glad the professional reader that hit it, they caught on to that too. And they said, as much as you loathe Milton, and you're so happy to see him have his comeuppance that but you still find yourself going, well, that's really us at our worst. This is really happens when people are at their worst.
Yeah.
So you're going But I love seeing you getting even for what you did.
Milton himself, now what you intended, every reader has their own prerogative of who they picture in their head. So my prerogative was I pictured the comic book guy from The Simpsons. Is there that might be completely inaccurate for what you saw, but nevertheless, that's what I had. And was there a reason why you made him the way you made him, with being obese and I hope I'm not giving anything away, mama's boy and stuff like that? Was there a reason for those choices?
It was funny because Milton was in my head immediately about this basement dwelling mama's boy, kind of right on the cusp of being a narcissist, lazy. Because the whole point when you're thinking of someone who has the ability to go out there and just click a 1-star and go like that and not realize how they're affecting people. If you deserve it, by all means, give me a 1-star if I deserve it. But so those who work so hard, and it's also a way to show to the authors, to readers, to anybody who's been harassed or whatever, is about a way to say, wow, why are you that way? Why would you do something to somebody like that, just pound them? And it's to me, it's a power play. They have this power play. They're safe behind the screen, and to me, to be, he's intelligent. It's funny that you mentioned comic book because on my interview with Literary Titan, they asked me, what, this character, what was the inspiration or what made you make him that way? And to mine was like, okay, I didn't make him. I didn't want him to be a comic book villain, and I actually said that in the interview. I wanted him to be his average old Joe, a little exceptional, odd, because he's the basement dweller who's a gamer. He's down there in his basement gaming. He's 35 years old. Yeah. He should be doing something else. His mama waits on him hand and foot. Maybe he's on some disability. I don't know. I didn't put that in there at all. But it was just the point of this guy has this time in his life to be able to just troll and just be a total butthead. But I wanted him smart enough that he could figure his way out of this and realize what he did. Because the whole point, you can get, what's the good if you can just, like, somebody makes you mad, you go over there and just stab them, they're dead. They don't learn a darn thing. Yeah. So watching someone have to change is painful too. Just going through the change is painful. That wasn't even probably the characters who were wrecking vengeance, because, like I said, the chaos theory, he's caused a lot of something, that's major. And so they would love to kill him, they'd love to, but he gets, and I won't give too much away, there's a little repeal there that someone knows a little bit more than just flat out, let's just chop his head off. Yeah. And of course I wouldn't have a nice long book if I just chopped his head off the minute he got there. Yeah. So as any TV series or movie you see, you're thinking, why don't they just shoot the guy, get it over with? Because he keeps causing trouble. It's like, just shoot him in the first scene, but then again, you'd have a one scene movie. But it's really weird. Milton and the Knights in this fantasy world, they took me on this damn journey, and whoever's going to read this book or read it already will understand when I say, sometimes I feel like I'm just a reporter, channeling back what's happening on the battlefield. Sure. I feel like someone got me there. I was like, okay, let me tell you a story. Okay, keep telling me. And I'm just writing it down. That's what I felt. They just took me there. He needed to go there. Yeah. So that's how Milton came about and how I kept from disemboweling him.
Well, one of the things that I thought was, I don't think I'm reading too much into it, but there was almost a sociological comment being made. So, back before the internet, you kind of your typical alpha male, alpha female jock type kind of like ruled the world, or the elites were the highly educated, or like I said, the jock type, those kind of things. And then with the advent of the internet and social media, the playing field got leveled, where basically the nerds, and which I'm pretty much myself in the geek world, so I'm not looking down on them because I think I'm one of them. I'm one of the geeks. But what happened was like the playing field got leveled, where it wasn't just on the internet, every voice is equal. And then you can have just as much power. You can be, whether you're 200 pounds of muscle or 200 pounds of blubber, it's pretty much irrelevant on social media. And so what I thought was interesting was, in Milton's world, he was the alpha, but when he gets pulled into this other world, it goes kind of back to the pre-internet days.
Exactly. There was no internet for him to hide behind a keyboard when he was there. He had to face up to what's going on. And I didn't make Milton overweight because overweight people are narcissists and they cause issues. No. No, the overweight in the Mama's Baby was strictly to show that someone who's more focused on the outer and the power part of it and being lazy in how he's intelligent enough, he could be doing something else, but he's so lazy and lethargic and just it's so much fun to be on this keyboard and spout off how much more intelligent he is than anybody else. Because Milton's he understands Latin, he reads Latin.
He's actually incredibly smart, actually.
Yeah, he's a geeky nerd, smart dude.
Yeah.
But he's socially ignorant. The whole point is he's socially ignorant, and so is the guys that he that's helping him too, or just socially ignorant. And it's a good point when you brought up about the internet again, about it leveled the playing ground, but it also made different power dynamics again.
Yeah.
Which is the power that someone can have over your life. I mean, look what happens to people that get doxxed out there when they speak up their mind, and all of a sudden this big group that's a fanaticals dox your work, where your home is, and next thing you know, you got eggs hitting, or somebody's threatening to kill you. So it's powerful, people's words and how they conduct themselves on the social media stream out there. The communication Autobahn is what I call it. I mean, you get on, it's like fast, and there you go.
Yeah.
And people need to, it's almost like they lose their morals, behind. And it's the same thing, because I as you know, if you can see all my degrees back here, I did have a minor in psychology. And I do remember about the group think, or the where your people are hidden inside of a group, like you'll see a big group form up of people, even out, not even on the internet, but out in the real world. And if one person starts breaking stuff and setting fires to things, all of a sudden these people become animalistic, and they'll start doing the same thing because they feel hidden within that group.
In the crowd, yeah.
So they feel more powerful to be able to do these things they normally wouldn't do as an individual standing off by themselves.
Yeah.
And so it's the same thing. Now it's really the internet and the screen. You're protected behind it. You're masked, and you can do what you want as long as you use some handle. Nobody can find you. So that's the whole point. The whole point.
Yeah, it's kind of the like I don't to what degree when you write, sometimes there are sub themes that arrive you weren't conscious of. Mm-hmm. They're subtextual, and even you as a writer, you're not really aware of. Were you aware of that commentary, or is it sort of rose from it?
What we just discussed about the good thing and stuff. No, I'm very aware of that.
You're very aware of it? Yeah.
Yeah, the whole point was the over the top thing Milton did was the whole catalyst. So it was the hook that said, okay, let's go see what we can do about this. Because you can't do anything about it in real life. So I'm going to write about what happens here.
Well, so that's one of the inherent problems, because I read or watch or whatever on a superficial level, and it's usually in the thinking about it later, the subtext sort of starts rising up. When I'm reading it or watching it, I just typically kind of just take it for what it is. Mm-hmm. And what I kept thinking about after reading it was, it felt like a commentary on cancel culture. And one of the inherent problems with cancel culture is it only sees this. The problem with it is it only takes into account this much of a picture, and it leaves off everything over here on the edges. It just looks at this. You don't know why that person did what they did. You don't know what their story is, how they got there, anything else. You just see that one moment of weakness or one word out of context, and they're canceled. And you don't know, you might have a person say F you to somebody, and then they're really judging on them, but you didn't see the 5 minutes prior to that where that other person was just agitating the crap out of them.
Right, exactly.
And that's kind of...
Here you get to see it.
Yeah, I felt like this was like a commentary, Milton was just canceling people because he had this power trip, and there was he had no context. Yeah. For what he was doing.
My favorite line was from one of it was from Literary Titan. It said that it felt like watching a whole fantasy kingdom rage quit the internet on her behalf. That was my best line from that.
Yeah,
from that.
That's a good line.
Which is perfect. Like, they were so mad that they did something for her that she has no clue about it, but it's the whole point of like, how can you do that? Look what you did. Look what you caused. We're going to take care of this. Yeah. There's retribution. There's a reckoning you need to pay.
Yeah.
And that's the whole cathartic thing about it. When you see, anybody can take their Milton, because from this point forward, anybody who reads this as an author, or a reader, when they see somebody's out there that's getting a 1-star, some snarky crap on somebody's review on one of their books, they're going to go, Milton's at it again. So there's your Milton. So yeah, we've all had a Milton. Not to that level. Milton is really out there, but because he feels so safe behind his screen. But it could happen. It's realistic. It could happen to you.
Is one thing too. This is not a Milton observation. This is more of a genre observation. I don't read fantasy that much, and even in fantasy movies, I'm not that big on. I watch Lord of the Rings, obviously, like everybody else did, but I don't chase every fantasy movie that comes along. It's not really my genre. But one of the things as I was reading it is apparently that whole world, there's like layers of the fantasy genre that they get really into. That's a thing. Did you have to research that? Like
what was that?
Like the medieval periods, like there's certain medieval periods.
Yes,
if you're in this period,
big time. Here I'm writing about because you'll see it right at the very beginning of the book, so it's not like I'm giving anything away. Is that Milton is a medieval enthusiast? Okay, that's what he does. He's really into even his gaming is medieval and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah,
and I'll just give a little bit of this away. Is I chose the 16th century because every time I've seen any other books, anything they're talking about in the Middle Ages or something like that, they're in the 15th century or the 16th century, not 16th. I was in the 12th century, sorry. They're way down in the, getting close to the, I can't even think of the word for it now, but I wanted to be right in the spot that's usually not talked about.
Okay.
I did a ton of research. I learned what their curse words were. So you'll see God's teeth, a lot in there, or God's bones, or he'll get called a flopdoodle, which is a fool. It's a one dotty because you're lazy. So you'll see some words that I found during that. They didn't call them judges back then. They called them justiciars or something like that. So it's spelled a particular way, but it's a judge. And their clothing that they wore. So yeah, I did my research because Milton is harassing Anna because he doesn't think she did her research. It's just a romance book. You don't, it's not, you're destroying our medieval beautiful era, That was his whole premise of why he was being a butthead, but he's just a butthead anyway. But and also too, when he's talking about me not cutting his head off, he has to go through a lot of emotional stuff too as well.
Oh yeah.
And you'll find out things about Milton. You'll go, ooh, okay, and you know what I'm talking about. Now I can understand. What's the most difficult thing as an author is bring somebody in that you're going to totally hate, and then gradually pull them over, going like, oh, okay, to your satisfying ending. I mean, that to me is the difficult part. If you can pull that off, this is why I get the literary award.
Well, it was that attention to detail that I found interesting because, again, I'm not a fantasy person. So when I see swords and knights and all that stuff, to me, it's just all the same. It's just medieval. And there's actual gradations of, there's layers of it that I didn't even realize. Yeah,
and a lot of fantasy that you'll see out there too, because I did research on a lot of fantasy novels. We call them high fantasy, low fantasy, epic fantasy, all these different levels in the genre. And sometimes, you'll read a fantasy and it's like all kinds of made up stuff. I mean, there's all kinds of little fairies and stuff floating around, all kinds of fantasy stuff. But I wanted to be so focused on that. Of that world that I wanted it to almost be believable, but not quite, still, because there's some things in there that about that will throw some people off. Go like, whoa, where'd they come from? So I threw a little fantasy into, also the Lady Sabine's ability. So it's like, it's a mixture genre. So I'm bringing in contemporary with medieval.
Yeah.
So you're hearing Milton talking in regular American language from the current time, and here's these 12th century knights.
Yeah.
So one of the reviewers says there's a dissonance. It just kind of freaks them out, which is like, okay, there's an American thing happening, all of a sudden you're doing this medieval. So it's a mixture. It's a true mixture, mixed genre.
And And one thing on the revenge that occurred to me as we were talking, the revenge, as much as I wanted just to like running through, like, if I was writing it, the book would probably be half as long as I was just raining through. But your revenge, and this word finally occurred to me as we were talking, it was almost holistic.
Right.
It's like holistic, meaning like whole body. Like when you're a holistic doctor, they're treating the mind, the spirit, the body, the whole thing. The revenge on Milton is holistic. They're attacking all fronts.
Everything.
It's not just hey, you're going to have to like row a field until doomsday. It's row a field plus this mental torture, plus this spiritual torture, plus this emotional torture, plus
the whole package.
Intellectual torture. Yeah, they attack
and
all
you don't
fronts.
even really know if they're really intentional or not, but it's happening.
Yeah,
So, yeah, that was much more satisfying than just running a sword through them.
Yeah.
So in other words, there's another little subcontext that you could take from it. It's like, when you're angry at somebody, don't kill them. You can word knife the hell out of them.
Yeah.
I've got a coffee mug. It broke one day, which really pissed me off. My daughter got it from me one time, but it's on my Facebook site, and it says, "Don't piss off or don't make an author mad. They'll put you in a book and kill you."
Yeah. Yeah.
That's basically like it's cathartic, or for me to my 1 star from 2010 and your 1 star for Anna got pushed to the side when Milton had to be pulled into this book.
Yeah.
So it's cathartic.
Yeah, when you're writing, that's probably, I don't know, I can't speak for all authors, but I think that one of the reasons why you become an author is you're trying to work through whatever demons or pleasures or whatever is going through your mind. You're trying to like work them out in a sense. I mean, I don't know if I could be a writer today without having gone through the life-altering issues we went through with my wife almost dying and her coming out the other side. And I wish that hadn't happened. And I wish if I could go back in time, I would delete that. But nevertheless, it happened. And I think that I don't know that I'm an author if that doesn't happen, because I was sort of like, I had all this junk and COVID hit and everything. I just had this junk to work out, and what better way but then to put my hands on the keyboard and work it out.
Creativity is a form of our own therapy.
Yeah.
And I'm not toot my own horn, but this is probably the first book which it was a cathartic for me to be able to write it because I had that experience. And but my other books, I just dive in wherever the hell universe point somebody throws me into. It's like, what's happening here? Let me write this shit. Oh, what's your name? Hold on, I'll be right back. My dog's peeing on my wall. Hold that thought, and then I come back. Okay, what were y'all doing? That's what I feel half the time is someone's feeding me something and I got to tell their story. It may end up in a 16-book series, or it could end up in the one-time Don't Mess with Anna book, or I don't know. I just feel like, and also I make a point, there's a lot of times, like when I'm doing my romance books, and this is where it's different. I'm going to say it again because I'm an erotic romance author. For anybody who's listened to this for the first time or first meeting me, erotica is the porn version of romance. When you see it's erotica, erotic romance is the love part of the sex. The sex is in it only. It's not just about sex. It's about these people meeting and learning each other and getting to the point where the sex is just the icing on the cake. You just finally, when that happens, you go, yay! It's not like somebody meets somebody and they run out into the damn alley and this uglies in against the dumpster. That's erotic. That's erotic. Erotica. An erotic romance is love before the backs ever hit the mattress. Okay. Yeah. So while I'm doing these books of these people, they're learning each other and loving each other and all this stuff. My characters have angst and they have all these hang-ups and different stuff, that may keep them apart for a little bit and stuff. I'm planting little seeds of learning things through this.
Yeah.
About my biggest peeve for women is don't pretend that this man knows what the hell's in your head and you're thinking at that moment. He's like, why are you mad? You should know. Oh, that just irritates me so bad. None of my characters will do that because I'd kill them off. But it's just strictly the growth part of going and getting a relationship and all the angst and stuff that comes with it. And I plant little seeds in there. One of my romance, I brought a little political stuff into it on book, I think it's 14, because of the times that was happening. So I was just planting little seeds about research I had done and knew were facts. And I've kind of brought some stuff that maybe people didn't know about. Maybe they might branch them off to start looking at something else. My goal is always when you finish the book, you don't forget it. Something still pops on you when you're thinking, I've read that in Celeste's book before, or something. So, but I did a lot of research, tons of research. Like I wrote a BDSM book because it was big hot for my published at the time. I mean, people were buying BDSM, right? I don't know what the hell hit the society, but BDSM was really big. So I said, I better learn about this crap. It's not like practice it. I went out and learned about domination as the mission. If I did half the crap I wrote in my books, boy, would I be experienced? I'd be on OnlyFans or something.
Yeah.
I research it and I place it into the context of a loving environment. Even with the BDSM, I had a woman who practiced BDSM. She was a submissive for a dominant, and she was one of my regular reviewers out there. She always loved my books, and when she read that, because I told her I'm not into this, I don't do this, I'm just writing one, and she goes, well, you wrote it like you fucking lived the damn thing. She says, you wrote it like you knew what you're talking about. Because I researched the hell out of it. That's the whole thing. I have to tell everybody, like, yes, there's lots of research.
So moving forward, without giving spoilers away, we did mention there's layers to the story and a story within a story.
Mm-hmm.
So if someone's read this might be the question I feel they would ask. But if there were to be sequels or part of a series, do you have plans to expand the story within a story? Because that's what I would think would be possible. I'm trying so hard not to spoil things.
Yeah, let's put it this way. When whoever's going to read this and they get to the end of the book, when they're saying about the author, I left a little message for somebody down there. And if I get enough of those back, then I will expand. But if there's no interest in it, then why bother? Because just there is hanging a little bit.
There is sequel potential, but not in the traditional sense.
Right, exactly. Now, this is funny. My daughter finally got her to read one of my books because she wouldn't read my romance book. She's like, I can't do this. My mom wrote this, that kind of thing.
I understand that.
Yeah, this isn't a romance. I keep telling her, just skip over. She goes, no, I can't.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this time she got into it. She read the book and she came walking into the house. She goes, Mom, you got to do a sequel. And I want a sequel for this book. I was like, I hadn't really had an idea for a sequel of it. I mean, I think I finished it off pretty well. She goes, no, and I'll tell you later off of this thing what she told me she wanted to happen with Milton. I was like, you're kidding me. So anyway, it's hilarious. I may have a sequel, another episode or something with Milton and Anna. We'll see. But my daughter is demanding it.
From a selfish point of view, you were on the romance train before I met you. And since I've known you, I've more come to know the author that writes Visiting Darkness and Don't Mess with Anna. So I feel I know that author more than I do the romance author.
Right.
And so in my mind, I'm like I want to see a Max series, and I want to see, without giving too much away, the continuation of the other thing in Anna.
Yeah.
So that's what I'd like to see. But also know romance is foundational to you, so I get it.
I don't want to let my fans down because they were my base, bringing me along and keep me writing and stuff. That was my base writers, and they'll merge over into my thrillers and stuff as well. I've got my fans over there; they're getting those as well.
Yeah.
But sometimes I want to go back and write the Fueled by Lust series and call it something different and just leave out all the sex and just the story part of it.
Right.
Yeah, that may, because I could make that into a series, like a Netflix series or something like that.
Yeah.
But going to the point of you want to see more Max, or I could have 4 or 5 of Maxes. Back I wrote Max in 2020, 2021. I should have like 8 Maxes out right now, but god darn, I get sidetracked with the thing happening with you with the star, and it went trigger. I've got to write this book. Don't mess with Anna.
Yeah.
The memoir happened because I met Chad, so he kind of got in there, and then I had the lady that and her husband who built their home out of paper.
Yeah.
And so I wrote it's called Padobi. So I wrote a nonfiction one called what did I call that stupid thing? Let me think.
Authors know what that is.
I know.
It's funny how like people expect you to remember everything about you wrote and did.
Oh my God!
They don't realize how much you forget. Like I forget character names from freaking Marav and Pistol Jake and. Oh
yeah! When I'm going into my next of my series, we live inside a paper house. That's what it's called.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, to that point is like whenever I start a new series, I'll end up starting and reading my series again. So it was easy when I was on that book 4.
Yeah.
Now I got to read 11 or 12 14 books before. So I read through them again because I'll forget somebody's eye color. So I got to make sure I get their eye colors right.
Right.
Their personality again.
I had forgotten I had actually named Marav with a full, first name, middle name, last name. And like when I did a reread of it for some work I'm planning to do with it, I'd come across a bar. I was like, oh, I forgot I gave her this middle name. I completely forgot.
Exactly. Yeah. I have to remember that my emperor in the romance series is Lucian. Was it Lucian Tiberius? Yeah, I think it's Lucian was his middle name. Tiberius. I got that after the Star Trek.
But I think that when I've heard many writers say it, you say it your way about how you're just pulled in this world and you get pulled out and you're just sort of like telegraphing what the universe is telling you. And I've heard several. Like Quentin Tarantino always says he writes with a pen because it's his antenna from God, and that God sort of like takes over his hand and writes it. So I think that a reason authors forget a lot of these details that a reader might like fixate on is because a lot of times it's almost like you're transcribing something being fed to you.
Right. And again, it goes back to what I always tell people: authors have to be half insane.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm insane sometimes. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I start doubting myself and thinking, what the hell am I writing this stuff about? you know? And then I'll get feedback and go, oh, somebody liked it. That's good,
Yeah.
Or it caused them to change something about themselves, or it impacted them.
Yeah.
In some way.
All right. So to wrap this up, how do they get the book? How do they, do you have a reading order or preference, or just go find Anna or Don't Mess with Anna and give it a read? Or would you like to build up to it some way with your other catalog?
And they're standalones. I mean, the series is Feel by Less series is its own world. I visited for a long time. Max is in his own standalone world, and Don't Mess with Anna, that's a standalone area for them. So whatever they get, it doesn't really matter. But it's exclusive on Amazon.
Okay.
So, but if you want to see everything about me, I'm on www.celesteprater.com. That's CELESTEPRATER.com. And I got my reviews out there. I've got all my different series. I've got like the nonfiction section. So just go to my website and you can browse around there. And if anybody is into romance, they've never gotten one of my books, they can go to my contact page and tell them where they met me. If they say, hey, I saw you on the blog with Story Demon, I'd like to have the first book, Drusus, because I'll send it to a PDF to you free.
All right.
So you can get introduced to the he's the one I hand out to people and go, if you're interested in romancers, here you go.
Cool.
So.
All right. Well, Don't Mess with Anna. Now you know the backstory behind. Okay, something.
Yeah, I forgot to tell you. About to be in Audible too. I got a narrator working on that now. It's supposed to come out after May. I think May 31st is when he delivers it, and then we'll get it out there. So May 31st. Look for the Audible.
All right. CelestePrater.com on Amazon. Don't Mess with Anna is the book we've been talking about. You can check all the rest of them out too. More than likely, once you read Don't Mess with Anna, you'll probably start grabbing some of the other ones.
I hope so. Especially Visiting Darkness. That was my first breakaway book.
Yeah,
Thanks, my baby. Yeah,
and she's a machine, man. She puts them out. I'm not an envious person. But I do envy your ability to crank them out with like some sort of regularity. I'm so emotional writer. Like if I don't feel it, I don't feel it. You know, and you have a discipline I wish I had.
Yeah, well, it's from being in the Marine Corps, can't help myself. It's just that I wake up early. You know, I work out. You know, or once a month I have to go drive into work. I have a day job, people. I'm a part-time writer, so if everybody's like
99% of authors are.
Yeah, why is it taking so long to put this other book out? I'm part-time. All I do is I maybe have 2 hours in the morning, and most of the time on the weekends I spend in front of this laptop doing my family knows don't bother me when I'm in here on the weekend.
Sure.
Because they'll yank me out of my world and I'll be mad.
Yeah.
Like, my character's stuck in this position until I get that.
It is. It feels that way. Yeah.
But yeah, when you're talking about the love of Marav, you want to keep doing Marav, but you've got so many other stories in you, like when you did Pistol Jake. Totally different. Love that book. We went through that one together as well. And now you're going to have Marav too. But then you have another one, if you want to name it, while we're here, that you're trying to work on, which is
It's called Zombie Witch. The more I work on it, I don't know if that will stay that way because it's taking on its own life.
See?
And you and I should probably talk about this off air. This is probably a whole conversation we have off air because I want this to be about Don't Mess with Anna. But yeah, the antenna from God or being pulled in the universe or whatever you want to call it is real. And my current work in progress, Zombie Witch, started out with one idea and it just keeps drifting out of its lane over the years. So anyway.
I know. I've been many times. The same thing happened with Don't Mess with Anna. I had certain things that want to happen. But God, those characters says, no, Celeste, we did this. So you need to come over here. Quit trying to take us down that road because we did not go down that road.
Yeah.
Go here. And then I'll find and discover, oh, that's why we went down that road. Same thing happens in my romance books. I do a quick outline. I never do a full, thorough outline because that gets killed halfway in between because these guys will say, no, Celeste, I'm going to meet that girl. You're going to try to take me that way, but I'm going to meet her. You know, so I get into some situations I never even had an idea or clue I was going to even go there, but it's like, boop.
Yeah.
So, same way with you. You're feeling it now. The more books you do, the more you'll sense it.
Yeah, it's I'm probably this could be a whole other. I'll just say this, and we probably could do a whole show just on this subject. I'm more of a pantser that just wants to hit certain points, and so the outline are these certain points I want to hit, and I just pants my way until that point. And that's kind of how I do it.
You'll die when you figure out what I'm about to tell you. It's so funny because I started out the pantser, you know, and then I started getting a little bit more organized when I realized I was going to write more series, so I had to remember the characters, personalities, and all that stuff. So I got a little bit more organized. I'm a project manager by day. So, of course, I got this organization thing that I fight all the times with the creativity. But now where was I going? The pantser part of it.
Yeah.
I had a point and I missed it because I was thinking about the damn organization thing. Oh, now I remember. Now when I'm writing, you're going to laugh. I've already got it formatted, ready for ebook, and I'm writing right there in the chapter. Right there, editing it.
Right in the format?
I'm writing it within the book format.
That's insane.
It's insane. I have another little sheet over there that I'll go back and try to remember some, or I'll write something down real quick so I won't forget. But I'm writing in the actual format.
That's crazy. I could never do that.
I know. That's 12 years of writing.
Maybe I shouldn't say never, but like I write in Scrivener because you can write like a chapter, and then like you can basically, it's almost like editing video because my background creatively was more movies tilted than book. And so and you're editing a movie, you can like have a sequence and you edit this sequence and you open up a whole new timeline and you edit that sequence and you can put all these sequences together. So in Scrivener I can write that way where it's like this chapter is here and this chapter is here. If you're writing it straight into project, that's insane.
Yeah, right in Word. It's already formatted and ready to go.
That's crazy.
Yeah, when I come back, maybe I'll miss a day or two. Something happens. I have to go take my car in the shop or something weird. And I'll come back and I'll start over again. And I'm constantly editing through it. Just editing.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so it's crazy. Most authors will say you're nuts, but I can move stuff around. I can go back and see. It's like, no, that's not working. Like I'm telling you though, this worlds I get into, might as well just sit there and write it down inside the format because them suckers are telling me where to go. Oh, you want to go there? Okay, let's go there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it's really weird. Every time I get to my book at the end of my chapter, I go back and count the chapter, and it's within my 2,500 to 3,200 words every single time. Every single time.
That's
weird.
Crazy. Wow. So yeah, I'm not there yet, man. Like we probably could do a whole show just on like technique or something. But I have to look at all that stuff. I just write what I feel, and then if I have to fix it, I'll just fix it.
I did that at the beginning. If you get 10-something years under your belt, you're going to be doing a lot different. You're going to be looking back. Like I went back to my first books in the Field by Lust, and my traditional publisher still has my e-reads. But I had the print rights. When I found out I had the print rights, I was like, oh man, I can redo the book how I wanted it. I added 32,000 more words and Drusus.
Wow.
Got more world building. And I apologized to him. I said, my God, I've been wanting for 10 or 8 years to go back and do what I should have done, but I wasn't that writer yet.
Yeah.
I'm now having that fun to go back to my original books that I have control over now for the print. So if you want to see a different story with the Field by List, you have to get the print books because I've added other stuff in there.
That's the director's cut. The director's cut. That's awesome.
It's the director's cut. Thank you. That's a good way to put it.
The director's cut. Cool.
Like I know. I want to thank you for bringing me on here so I can talk about Don't Mess with Anna, A Reckoning in Blood and Ink.
Yeah.
You must get out on Amazon and leave reviews, please. You don't know how important it is for people to leave reviews because after 10 and you get seen a little bit more on Amazon. So, but all mine are, I hope all my fans, remember after they say, "Oh, that was such a good book," and then they walk away and have dinner and they forget. No, give me a review too. While it's fresh in your head. It doesn't have to be huge. You don't have to write like the editorial ones. If you say loved it. Hey, that's good for me, So.
Oh, and I will add this. Don't Mess with Anna. Probably, I would say it's like a PG-13-ish. So, like, if you got a 15-year-old, they could read it. Like, there's no.
Yeah, the worst you're gonna hear is hell, damn, shit, dotty.
Nothing. Yeah, like
there's no sex. It's not a romance. There's no sex in there.
Yeah, if you have an older teen reader, they can read it.
Yeah, and I made a point. I'm glad you brought this up. I made a point not to use the F word. Not once did I use the F word through there. And I have bombs all over the place in my mystery thriller. I got them in my romance book. Not one there.
Yeah. So
that's a miracle in itself.
It's probably your most universally accessible book.
That was my whole point. I wanted everybody to be able to dip into if they wanted to.
Yeah, cool.
That's why I put them 18 plus though, because of the other. You can't go through life without hell damn, especially when you're doing revenge and a reckoning. You need some hell damn shits.
Yeah. If I had an older teen, if I had a 16-year-old, I'd let them read it easy.
Yeah. Easy.
All right, CelestePrater.com. Find it on Amazon. Don't Mess with Anna. Go out, get it now.
Thank you, Chris. I appreciate you having me on as your guest.